All right, we just about to get right into the video. There's one, I don't know if anybody's seen this, one LeBron fan versus 10 LeBron haters. And, a lot of things in this video was, I don't really, I feel like maybe he didn't have enough time or maybe he just didn't defend it good enough. But we're just going to get right into it. I'm going to skip over this part after this, but okay.
Show him some respect.
Somebody is going to break LeBron's all-time scoring record. You think that just because he's doing it now, nobody's going to come after him and break him? That's what we thought about Kareem. And then guess what? Somebody broke it. Every single year, the NBA is becoming more efficient. It's getting easier for teams to score. Teams are getting smarter. All players are coming up and are learning 3 is more than 2. And so the way that people are learning how to play basketball is inherently more efficient. So people are going to come through. There's some middle schooler right now that's taking 30 footers who's going to show up and he's going to break LeBron's scoring record. You don't think it's going to happen, but it probably will.
Yeah. And again, if the argument is for the entirety of space and time, something is more likely to happen than never, sure, that's not really refutable. But if we're being practical and we're talking about what you can actually envision based on something you see and you predict, there's no real reason to think that other than hope. We can say that, 3 is more than 2 and the game has made this much of a change in the last 20 years. Maybe it'll make that same change 20 more years. It's not really linear. There's only so much pushing of the envelope you can do. And while we've seen that huge envelope push happen in our time, that's not a guarantee that we're going to see another one. There's only so much space on the court, so much more math you can exploit. So I think maybe we're close to peak efficiency. If we're not, and it keeps going up, fine. But you still have to reckon with the fact that somebody has to come in the league, be amazing right away, and be amazing for like 25 years without ever missing a full season of injury. The closest one is like Kevin Durant. He's missed several full seasons of injury because it's honestly, he's hilariously lucky to never have torn an ACL in 25 years. Do you expect the next great star, who's a great star from 19, to be hilariously lucky for 25 years? I wouldn't. Yeah, maybe he's cheating. I don't know. But you better hope the next GOAT cheats too then, because I don't see any reason why that's going to happen or any reason to expect that.
Listen, if you want to talk about that, the way that the game is being played, that's getting better. That's being more efficient. You want to talk about medicine, that's getting better. That's more efficient. Sure. Everything is being set up for players. Everything is being set up for players to come in bigger, better, faster, stronger, which is what you say about every single generation afterwards. You may not think that it's going to be some massive explosion to where in 5 years we're going to instantly get the next GOAT. Basketball is going to be played for a long time. And the incremental differences, eventually we're going to get to 2055 and there's going to be some crazy kid and he's going to come along and be the next GOAT. He's going to break LeBron's record.
If the record's broken in 2099 when we're all long gone, then you got it. You can have it.
I'm going to
win. From the grave.
All right, I got a lot to say, but first off, let me just show you my shirt. It's kind of hot in here.
Got a costume change? Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, LeBron relied a lot on athleticism to go score all those points. We have players now like Luka who score like 30 points a night consistently without relying a lot on athleticism. And like this era too, you're shooting a lot more 3-pointers than ever before. So in what world would I not think someone who's taking more 3-pointers, scores 30 points a game at the age of 19, is not going to pass LeBron's scoring record? It sounds kind of ridiculous.
Okay, the gist is, nobody's going to come break LeBron's scoring record, right? Which it took 39 years or pretty much 4 decades for LeBron to break Kareem's. So I don't know. I probably won't be alive by the time it happens, or I'll be like, 80, 90 years old by the time it does. Most of the people won't be alive by the time somebody does break his record. I can't say no one will because, they said the same thing about Kareem. And the thing is with Kareem, like I said, it took 4 decades. So it might take 4 more. No, it's going to take longer than 4 decades to pass LeBron. And you got to be healthy the whole time. You got to come in at age 18 and 19 and all, all the different things. You got to stay healthy. You can't get injured. And you got to be good for like two decades. So will it happen? If time permits it and time keeps going on, yeah, somebody will break it. But it's not likely for it to happen anytime soon. Like, it's going to be at least 6-7 decades. If 38,000 took 4 decades, and it depends where LeBron leaves it. If he gets 45,000, or even, dare I say 50,000, which he probably won't. But if he gets 45,000, That that's probably not going to be broken for a really long time. Okay, we're gonna jump to the next section. If LeBron came first, there wouldn't be an argument.
If LeBron came before MJ, there wouldn't be an argument about who is better. Mr. Deshaun,
He raised his
please
hand fast.
step forward.
That was instant.
We could say this very simply. This is a great question, by the way. We've already seen Jordan surpass the GOAT before him, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem, since high
And first, before that, I don't even think Jordan's ahead of Kareem, but we can keep going.
school, was ready to be the greatest player, just like we saw LeBron James. Kareem in his career, 6 NBA finals, right, where he won, okay, and he had made 10 appearances just like LeBron, except he happened to win more than LeBron did. Kareem, the all-time scoring leader, just like LeBron, correct? He also is top 10 in rebounds and might be up there in block shots as well. So we've already seen an all-around player with an unstoppable move and the persona bravado as I'm the greatest. And what did Jordan do? Surpassed him, right? He went 6-0. That's 100% in the finals. He also has the MVPs to match up with him and 6 finals MVP.
He don't, because Kareem got 6 MVPs, Jordan got 5. But let's keep going.
Which is something that Kareem did not do. So we have already seen this iteration of Jordan following up someone who is deemed as the greatest. So if you reverse the roles, there's still no debate. Jordan tops LeBron every time.
So, but before we even get into his argument with Kareem and LeBron's a better scorer. He could score from all 3 levels. He shoot 3, mid range, drive to the hoop. Kareem, what? He could the basket, and then he got the hook shot. Further you push him out, he don't got no shot. And that's not knocking Kareem, but he's not a better scorer than LeBron. He's not a better scorer. Okay. If you look at passing, he ain't even close to the level of passing. He had to have Magic get him some of them shots. That's something that people don't look at. If you look at the top 3 in scoring, it's LeBron, Kareem, and Karl Malone, right? But if you look at the other 2, Kareem and Karl Malone, those 2 players, right? Those 2 guys, they had all-time great playmakers, and they were big men. So Malone had Stockton, who was getting him easy looks, and Kareem had Magic, who was getting Kareem some easy looks. You know what I'm saying? So those other 2 guys at the top 3 had all-time great passers and playmakers, right? LeBron is number 1 in scoring and number 4 in assists past Magic. So he's a all-time great scorer and all-time great playmaker at levels we've never seen before. So that's the big difference. We could talk about the competition they face, whatever the case. At the end of the day, I think Kareem's better than Jordan. That's number 1. Number 2, even if you want to put Jordan past Kareem, the argument for LeBron over Jordan would be what would the argument for LeBron over Jordan would be more so based on the statistical resume, where he ranks, the teams he beat, the competition he went up against, things like that. So you could put, I don't know, I wouldn't put Jordan over Kareem, but you could put him over Kareem, and I still would not put him over LeBron, because you say we've seen a guy like him before. Well, we never seen a guy that's first in points and 4th in assists. We never seen a guy that, has led both teams and everything in a playoff series before. We've never seen a guy that's top 10 in every playoff stat and number 1 in 27 different things. We never seen that. So, yeah, Kareem statistically is at the top. But when we're talking about play and all-around play, LeBron is he's a good rebounder. He's top 30 in rebounds. He's top 10 in the playoffs. You talking about passing, he's number 2 and number 4. Number 4 in the regular season, number 2 in the playoffs. Talk about scoring, he's number 1 in the regular season and playoffs. So, in steals, he's top 10, and 3-pointers, he's top 10, regular season and playoff. Like, when you talk about all-around game, from points, steals, rebounds, blocks, assists, 3-pointers, we never seen a guy like that. And not only that, he won on 3 different teams. Kareem can't say he did that. Jordan can't say he did that. He led 3 different teams to the NBA Finals and has 3 Finals MVPs on 3 different teams. He also got 20 All-NBA teams, which is the record. He got 20 All-Star selections, which is the record. He got 13 first-team All-NBAs, which is the same amount as Curry, Kawhi, and Durant combined, which is the next 3 best players of his generation. So, to an extent, you could say Kareem, but Kareem don't got none of those things I just mentioned. And so that's why LeBron would be better. He did it at a higher level for longer than Kareem. He's also the only scorer, all-time scorer that's still top 10 in assists. He's really number 4. He can still rebound. He can still defend. He's a better, 3-level scorer. All that stuff. So we're just gonna hear his argument.
I appreciate your love for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Unfortunately, that is entirely irrelevant. This is not a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus LeBron James conversation. It is Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. If any of that mattered, you would have Kareem at 2 and LeBron at 3. Do you?
I have LeBron at 4.
All right, so clearly I'm speaking to somebody with an outrageous worldview on LeBron James. So that makes sense to me. That makes total sense now why you would bring that up. Unfortunately, I live in reality, and I do not believe Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a greater player than LeBron James. All those things you said make sense if you're simply looking at it that all Jordan had to do to pass up and be the GOAT is check boxes on paper. And that makes total sense. As a Jordan fan, you see number 6, number 0, he's the GOAT. LeBron, the argument for him has nothing to do with whatever Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did. He's a better player, that he's, the typical things, bigger, faster, stronger, but he's a better passer. Scoring, let's call it equal. If you want to give it to Jordan by edge because of whatever reasons you have, sure. LeBron's a better interior scorer. If you want to give Jordan jump shooting, go ahead. Scoring is close enough. The passing is a big difference. I think LeBron's more versatile defensively. He's obviously the higher IQ player, lifts people up around him better, the better playmaker in that way. If you believe that he is truly the better player all around, which, many LeBron fans do, obviously you don't, that would be enough that if he came first, you wouldn't see Jordan pass him up. So much of why Jordan is revered as his unquestioned GOAT is nostalgia, is he came first, is he was the first guard to come in and be a guy that showed you can, win a title around a perimeter player when previously it was all big men, like you said. If LeBron had did that first, that talking point would be irrelevant. He would be great, obviously, he'd be in the conversation, but none of that nostalgia would be attached to him, and he wouldn't have this reverence about him. He wouldn't be the same outside the court figure because we would have already had LeBron to deify in that way. So all of that type of bigger than basketball stuff that's attached to Jordan's name would be gone. There'd be very little argument, especially if LeBron presumably dominated that generation in the same way Jordan did, which I don't have any doubt he would. Do you?
Yeah, I do. And I think you made a couple of points that aren't based in fact and more based in opinion.
That's all it is.
Well, no, there are some facts to back it up, of which that I've named, right? You talked about being a more versatile defender. The Defensive Player of the Year awards don't say that.
You want to talk about the...
Well,
go ahead.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
Right? So that goes in favor of Jordan. You said we can call scoring equal. How? Michael Jordan once averaged 37.
Because LeBron has 41,000 points. And I can't even really say it's equal because LeBron has seasons finishing at the rim at 70 or more %, which is Shaq levels of efficiency, which Jordan's never done. And then he's also top 10 in three-pointers made. Jordan's not even in the top 250 in the regular season. In the playoffs, he's like 25th or something. But the point that I'm making is, he's a better three-point shooter and finisher for sure. Jordan's a better mid-range shooter. But if you look at the fact that LeBron averaged 25 for 20 years or something, 20 seasons of averaging 25, nobody else has 15 or something like that. If you look at that, you look at the fact that LeBron scored 40 versus every NBA team. He got 1,000 versus every NBA team except 2 of them. And then he got the highest scoring average for 3 different franchises. And then you look at the fact that he has 41,000 points and 8,000 playoff points. That's how you could say they were equal. And really, I would say LeBron's a better scorer because at the end of the day, he's a better finisher at the rim, shoots better from 3, and he's playing against zone defense, which is harder defense.
Points per game. Has LeBron ever done that? No.
Are we going to go off of the best scorers of all time or the ones who average the most per year?
Are you going to let me finish?
Well, you gave me
the argument.
You gave me a pause to respond.
Your argument was also that was just the little pregnant.
Okay,
pause.
being dramatic. Go ahead. My bad. Okay, I respect it.
LeBron's stats are more based in longevity, right? If you're talking about who's the greater scorer, we're looking at points per game. We're looking at playoff performances. We're looking at regular season performances.
LeBron averages 3 less points per game on 3 less shots a game.
You can't call that a wash, right? You can't call the defensive stats a wash either. And then you
can't call that a wash. Okay. LeBron has the second most games in the finals with 40 points. He's tied for Jerry West with the most 40-point games in the finals. He scored the second most points in a single playoff run. He's got the most playoff points. I mean, what else are we supposed to say? The fact that he got 8,000 playoff points is enough for me.
You talked about uplifting players and making players better. Is that really true? I don't think so. Who did Jordan take to the finals? Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley, Ron Harper, a bunch of players that after they left him were not able to accomplish this.
What did Jordan do before those guys? He's 1-9 without Scottie Pippen. So that's not a good argument. That's not a place you really want to go.
Same things. When LeBron James gets a player, they get worse. Remember that guy, Kevin Love? What was he doing in Minnesota? And then what happens when he joins LeBron in Cleveland? Kyrie Irving, same thing. Players don't get better. LeBron is able to dominate the game.
Okay, Kevin Love went from a first option to a third option. He went from a first option on a non-championship contender to a third option on a contender, and he won a championship. So he sacrificed putting up empty numbers and stats on a non-contending team as a number one option to become a third option with a lesser role so that he could get a championship. So, of course, his number's going to drop off. And Kyrie Irving had his best years with LeBron. I don't know what this dude's talking about.
Game more and take them away from the stardom that they already had, because he likes to acquire players and not make them homegrown.
Yeah, I hear you. And everything you said makes total sense if you stop thinking about basketball in like 2010. And if you were still in like points per game equal good, and we didn't realize what the value of efficiency, the value of playing in a certain system that gets touches to other people.
Let me stop. I really like this dude. He did defend most of the points pretty good. He's pretty smart, but there were some things where it got a little shaky and he couldn't, a lot of things he don't know off the top of his head. And, when you hear certain narratives enough amount of times, you kind of got to know the response right away. But it's going to show later in the video.
People not simply funneling into one person. Points per game hasn't been the metric for who makes simply the better scorer in like 15 years of discourse. We are so far past that. If you view points per game as the end all be all, great. Then he's going to be your GOAT regardless. But if you understand the value of efficiency, the value of getting a certain type of bucket that creates shots for others, and value of making the right play and not simply chasing a high points per game value, it's easy to understand why LeBron is equally as good of a scorer. In his prime, he shot nearly 80% at the rim, which is ridiculous. We don't have the tracking numbers for Jordan back then. It would have been good too. He would have been 68, 70, obviously. Part of that is era. He would have been lower because less spacing. So we could acknowledge that. He wouldn't have been a goddamn 80. I'll tell you that. He wouldn't have been the freight train in the open court that LeBron is. I feel very safe saying LeBron is the best open court scorer getting to the rim, probably of all time, besides the bigs like Shaq. Is that fair?
Hold on. I'm going to have to go 24 seconds on this topic.
24 seconds. And I'll run this again. The question was, if LeBron came first, would there be an argument? I've already given you the factual data that prove we've seen a version of LeBron who was regarded as the uncontented GOAT, which was Kareem. Jordan surpassed him. And I gave you the career stats, which Kareem had more career stats at the time. I gave you the finals MVP. I gave you the finals win. Jordan came into the league and took that away from Kareem. He also took it away from Bird, and he also took it away from Magic.
Well, that's an opinion. Now, he is greater than Bird and Magic, and that's still an opinion. But in my eyes, he is. But to say he took it away from Kareem is your opinion. And like Isaac said, to go to his point, we're not arguing Kareem and Jordan or Kareem and LeBron. We're arguing LeBron and Jordan. Now, if you want to get into why LeBron is greater than Kareem, that derails the entire conversation of LeBron and Jordan. If LeBron came first, there wouldn't be an argument. Well, if LeBron came first, he would have broke Kareem's record. He would have had all these 40,000 points. He would have won on 3 different teams. He would, if we're saying he goes in the 90s, he probably would have had even more. That goes into the hypotheticals of what his stats would be, what his accolades would be at that time. And nobody really knows that. if he came first, are you saying he came first and did exactly what he did now? Or are you saying he came first playing against worse competition than what he played now with the Bulls or something, and then probably got more than 6 rings, probably made more than 8 or 9 finals, probably made more all NBA teams and different things that I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So that's a hypothetical, and that's a road that if we go down, we're gonna. Is he gonna have the same accomplishments, or is he gonna be playing versus the '90s where it's lesser talent, and he's gonna be walking the '90s? And his statistical accomplishments are already insane, and accolades. If you put him in a worse era, it's going to be even better. So that's a road that you don't really want to go down. It's a whole different conversation.
If LeBron James walked through those doors on his Lakers teams, he would have accomplished just as much as Kareem while being the better player. It wouldn't be an argument. It's entirely irrelevant to focus on what happened to those guys. We're talking about a hypothetical in which a better player was in those situations.
If you're an NBA player at the beginning of each season, what is your ultimate goal?
To win a championship. I'll go ahead and give you what you want to hear.
Thank you. Well, what other goal would there be?
Okay. If your goal is to win a championship and you're basing it off of championships, then Bill Russell has to be the GOAT. There is no other argument. There is no whatever era or there were only 18. No, he has to be the GOAT. If this is what you're saying, yes, the goal is to win the championship, but you're not going to win a championship every year of your career. And winning more doesn't make you better. Otherwise, what? Bill Russell would be the best of all time, and we wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Keep going.
Okay, anyway. So at the start of each season, you want to win a championship, right?
Yes.
And if we think about some of the greatest winners of all time, right, would you say that winning a three-peat is difficult?
Very so.
So how many times has that happened in history? Do you know?
It's happened once with Shaq and Kobe, twice with Jordan, and then with Bill Russell. So it's happened 4 times. And Bill Russell didn't really three-peat, he 8-peated. He won 8 in a row. And I think 8 in a row is more impressive than three-peating twice, but okay.
A few times, right? So some of the greatest players in history, some of the greatest winners in history have only won 1 championship, maybe won 2 in a row, maybe won a few, but they were like sporadic throughout their career. It's rare that you see a team or a player accomplish a three-peat, right? Tim Duncan, he won it, I think, like every other year. He has like 5 of them, but he never did it twice in a row.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant did it 3 times in a row, and it took him and Shaq to do it, right? He did a three-peat, right? I think those 60 Celtics with Cousy and them, they did it like 100 times in a row, whatever it was. I'm just saying, but that was a different era. My point.
He said, but that was a different era. Now, see, I would have stopped him there because I'm like, what do you mean that's a different era? What exactly is the meaning of that? Are you saying it was lesser competition back then? Because if you go down that route, right, the 90s ain't better than now, and the teams that Jordan played ain't damn sure ain't better than the teams LeBron played. So you can't use that logic for Bill Russell because he won more and say, well, he played versus lesser teams. But then when Jordan won more, you telling me I can't say it's because he played versus lesser teams? You can't say Bill Russell ain't better than Jordan, yet he won more. And then, say in the same sentence that Jordan is better than LeBron because he won more. It doesn't make sense. And then you damn sure can't use competition.
Point is, in the modern era of basketball, to win 3 times in a row is damn near impossible. Nobody can do it. Those Warriors
in the modern era, the 90s is not the modern era.
2015 era to 2020, they won it a bunch of times, but they also couldn't do it 3 times in a row. LeBron James, 2012 and 2013, couldn't do it a 3rd time in a row. Ended up losing to those same Spurs. My point is that a three-peat is hard to come by. And if championships is how we measure greatness in the NBA, how can we say that anyone other than the only man to do it twice in one career is any worse than anybody else to ever play the game?
Yeah.
Because, he did it twice, right? He three-peated twice. But Bill Russell won 8 straight. And he won 11 championships in 13 years. So how would Bill Russell be worse than Jordan based on this logic? Bill Russell would be the GOAT, right? So why are we talking about that? But you heard what he said. It was a different era. What does that mean? Less competition? Oh, okay, well, I could say the same thing about what Jordan played versus compared to what LeBron played. He never played a team like the Spurs or Warriors. And this is kind of where, I think Isaac messed up because he don't have the right arguments in this particular segment.
If the ultimate goal is NBA championships, LeBron James, I'm sure, is on record saying that that's what the ultimate goal for any NBA player would be. How do we pick anyone other than the only man who was able to do a three-peat, which is probably the hardest thing to do in basketball, twice, after taking a year off to play baseball, smoke cigars, and gamble?
Lots to unpack there.
Unpack it.
I gotta remember all the crazy shit you just said.
I wish I was there because I would have cooked this dude real easy work. I would have cooked everybody that came up there.
All facts. Like the good brother Deshaun.
First of all, all of that would be great and all that'd be dandy if the Basketball Hall of Fame was the Basketball Hall of Fame of three-peats. If that was the only thing you measured by, and if the top players of all times are only the ones who got three-peats, then we'd have no conversations. It would be there's like three players we're talking about in NBA history.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the case. And yes, the way you measure
Good
success
rebuttal too.
is winning championships as a team. That is so contextual. I understand that we treat Michael Jordan like a god who is a one-man army against the world. He's not. It's a 12-man roster, 15 back then. It's so much contextually needed to talk about team versus team that I think that's the general error of what way we talk about basketball in general is saying we measure success via championships. That's part of it, but it's part of a larger whole to understand a player, his impact, his skills, weighing all that individually. So I don't think championships are the end-all be-all. You obviously need, a requisite amount of success to show that your talent can, translate in the playoffs. I don't think necessarily hitting a certain number is the only way to talk about that. And I certainly don't think three-peats is the only way that you can justify that. It's very impressive, not take it away. Yeah. But if three-peats were just the measure, then you would have Bill Russell at 2. I don't believe you have Bill Russell at 2.
No, because there's obviously
you would have him at 1, actually.
A lot more to consider.
Exactly.
For sure, right? But when it comes down to it, right? When you're looking at Jordan and LeBron and they're like kind of neck and neck in pretty much every category except winning, which is what the ultimate goal of an NBA player is, to win. And if you look, and I'm looking at two guys, one who's won more than the other with pretty much the same stats. And yeah, LeBron's playing 22 years.
Don't got the same stats though. Bron is dogging him in stats, but keep going.
Michael Jordan played 14 or 15. There's like going to be some discrepancies there. But the fact of the matter is that he played 6 years less and has more accolades, relatively the same amount of stats.
He got the same amount of accolades, 68 accolades. Bron got better stats.
I just think if we're going to look at two players who are so close, which is why we're having this debate, why not let it come down to, at the end of the day, who was holding the trophy at the end of the day?
Because that's a team thing, and because they play different eras, different competition. And LeBron played better competition. And, that's why he didn't win as much. He also had certain circumstances, like losing his two best teammates, Kyrie and Love. Jordan never lost his two best teammates. Jordan wasn't in the finals at 22. Jordan never played a team like the Warriors or the Spurs. So those are all facts.
For the season, Michael Jordan did it 6 times in 6 tries.
Yeah, you mentioned it's
24 seconds.
God, Jesus.
See how he timed them 24 seconds? That's why I said, it's kind of not fair at the same time.
It's hard to win in the modern NBA, make three-peats. That is true. You made it sound like the modern NBA is the same as when Michael Jordan was. Like the modern NBA started in 1990. It didn't.
I think it did.
It just straight up not. We're in such a different world than we were in the 90s. Back then, there was way less player movement. It was way.
Yeah. He cooking because that's player movement, teams getting better, all that stuff. It's way different now, and it's a stronger era. So that's probably why LeBron got 4 chips.
Easier to make your team and keep them together. We know he had the best team. He's part of that, but he had an amazing supporting cast. The reason LeBron has to cycle through teammates, it's hard to build a good team today when you're not a homegrown, draft all your stars type of team. You can't. Elongated success is harder.
Well, I'm just going to say this. LeBron James, he spent most of the 80s getting his ass whooped by Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas. I don't know that they can win. And then he won 6 in a row outside of his little game.
MVP thing is he happened.
James, he spent most of the 80s getting his ass whooped by Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas. All these guys had every opportunity in the world to leave Chicago and join any of those teams to make sure they had better players around him.
Well, he was in Chicago for, I think 7 years maybe. And then he won. I mean, when LeBron left, he had a 38-year-old Shaq and year 18, Mo Williams and Antoine Jemison. He was going up against the Celtics with Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Rondo. Even Kevin Garnett said he couldn't beat all 5 of us. So, I mean, I don't know what these dudes be talking about, but I mean, he didn't leave because he had a Scottie Pippen and a Horace Grant. LeBron had a Shaq in year 18 at 38 and Mo Williams. You do the comparison.
But he stuck it out in Chicago. They developed the team. They put players around him that they can win. And then he won 6 in a row outside of his little gambling era. But then I say that to say with LeBron at the buzzer, he's soft.
His ass was under contract. He did not have every opportunity.
He almost went to the Knicks. I do thank you for your service. Okay, this next topic is controversial. LeBron James is one of the clutchest players of all time.
We meet again.
Hello. Welcome back.
Clutch what? Not clutch at the free throw line. Maybe he has some clutch performances, but let's bring up the biggest moments of LeBron James' career, and let's continue to talk about winning like my brother Nelson did. Miami Heat, biggest shot of
This is where I feel like he messed up. Isaac didn't know enough in this particular thing. He just didn't know enough because I'm gonna just let it play. Then I'm gonna
series that got them to Game 7. Jesus Shuttlesworth. Game 7 against Warriors, and my guy Stephen Curry. That's ingrained in my memory. Kyrie Irving. And who passed him the ball? LeBron. Because it wasn't his moment. Whenever it's time and it really counts and it comes down to it, he's passing the ball because he shies away from the last shot. Please don't go to some regular season game where no one is watching. Let's talk about the biggest moments when being clutch matters.
Let's make
he
80%
doesn't
of the
have
game
the ball in
irrelevant.
his hand.
Okay.
Well, what matters the most?
Keep on, sorry. Keep on.
The last shot or the ones that happened before? I placed the value on a shot that got them to win. Talk to me.
Again, similar to last time we argued, that would be real great if we stopped thinking about basketball 15 years ago. How do you get to the last shot? How do you keep these games competitive? Everything leads up to it. And real quick, did that question say one of the most clutch players or one of the most clutch last shot shooters?
I would say this is about being clutch at the end. That's how clutch.
even if we were to go that route, LeBron has the most. He has the most playoff buzzer beaters. He has more than Jordan and Kobe combined in the playoffs. A playoff buzzer beater is the last second. He got 5 of them. That's more than Jordan and Kobe in the playoffs, where it matters most, right? At the end of the game, in the playoffs. Yeah, he got 5 of them. Okay. But let's keep going.
Clutch is mostly defined. No one's really talking
Yeah.
about it before in the first, second, and third quarter.
Oh, I'm not talking about
There is
either.
a clutch time stat too. I think it's the final.
In a clutch time stat, LeBron has the most clutch shots. He don't even know that. Isaac don't even know that. This dude don't know that. The dude he debating don't know that. I would have been cooking this dude because LeBron, according to the stats and that stat, has the most clutch shots. From 5 minutes down to 1 minute, he got the most playoff buzzer beaters, and with 2 or fewer seconds left to tie in the fourth quarter or overtime in the playoffs since 1999 or the last 25 years, he is 7 for 12 for 58%. Every other MVP in that time frame is 6 for 45 for 13%. That includes Durant, Harden, Curry, and Kobe, who many say is more clutch than LeBron.
5 minutes
It
of the
is.
fourth
So
quarter.
let's define
It
it by
is.
that then.
Okay, yeah, the
All right.
clutch player.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
involved?
by that metric, LeBron has the most clutch shots in the playoffs. You could look this up on Basketball Reference StatHead. He's had the most clutch shots according to the clutch time metric in the regular season and playoffs, from 5 minutes down to 1 minute.
Offense, passing and shooting, setting up others for good shots and shooting the shot yourself. So I'm not going to let you pretend that playmaking is irrelevant and that setting up open shooters is not good. It is. LeBron has taken his fair share of difficult, tough shots at the end, does too. I think the stat is he's like 7 for 12 on these last second shots in the playoffs.
He said that's 58, but that's better than every. See, what he forgot to say was he's better than every MVP of the last 25 years combined. 58%. That is extremely clutch.
Which, cool, he can do that too. If you want to say other guys did it more often than him or in flashier ways that you remember more because it was in a big game on national TV and what you were watching, great. I, for one, have the privilege of having the internet. And I know that not everything that I didn't see some of it still happened, even though I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And he has good clutch numbers. So I won't pretend that's not the case. But also the harping on the fact that he passes the ball to people as if it's a negative is ridiculous. The smartest players know the smartest shots aren't always contested step back shots because you want to be the one to take it. If you have a 40% corner 3-point shooter, you give him the ball. And you said maybe he has some clutch performances in the beginning to downplay it. Yeah, maybe he has a lot of them. Maybe he averages 34 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists in closeout games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now, I give him that kind of credit. But when they kept bringing up Ray Allen in the last second shots and Kyrie Irving, he kind of didn't, you know, I'm going to just let it play.
Maybe not. I don't know, but I think yes. So I'm not gonna pretend that's just a throwaway, and you could just like toss it aside and be like, "What about free throws?" Because the good stuff actually matters, not just the bad stuff.
So you talked about playmaking, but let's talk about those plays because you said you have the internet. Me too. So we can easily go and look at these moments.
Mhm.
He didn't pass Ray the ball. That was a tip out. So shout out to Chris Bosh.
Good for him.
LeBron was nowhere near that play. He actually missed the shot before it. Then we could go to him.
Yeah, but he also, when they was down 6, he hit a 3 to make it possible for Ray Allen to even hit that 3. But let's keep going.
Kyrie Irving, he didn't play make. He just gave him the ball and shied away. You remember the Olympics?
I do.
Who he gave the ball to?
Steph Curry.
And you saw what Steph did?
He's bad.
Hit a clutch 3 that won them the gold medal, and he was robbed of that Olympic MVP too. Don't even get me started.
Robert did, that's a whole different discussion because LeBron was the best player in the Olympics.
Started there. So in the biggest moments of LeBron's career on the international stage or on the NBA stage, it is not him making the play and it is not him making a shot. He has to rely on other people. And that's
Sure.
okay.
If we pretend his career is wrapped up into 2 plays, then you got it.
3 plays.
No. Even if you did that, because the Olympic MVP was for the entire tournament, and there's nobody that could deny for the entire tournament, LeBron was the best. As far as Ray Allen and Kyrie Irving, when they were versus the Spurs, they were down by 10 points, if I'm not mistaken. LeBron scored. He scored 16 fourth quarter points, brought them from that deficit. They were down 6 points, and he hit that 3 to put them down 3 to make it possible for Ray Allen to even hit the shot. But they were down by 10, and he scored 16 fourth quarter points. The game went to overtime. He scored or assisted on 22 Miami Heat points in the fourth quarter / overtime. Also, after that shot was Game 7, right? Game 7. In which, so it was Game 7. Ray Allen scored 0 points. 0 points. LeBron, he scored 37 and 12. So even if you were to pretend that everything that LeBron did, scoring the 16 when they were down 10, and the 22 he scored or assisted on in the fourth or OT to get his team in position to win that game, even if you were to pretend that didn't matter and it was just Ray Allen's clutch shot, right? Even if you were to pretend that, what about Game 7? They still had to win Game 7, right? Okay. And guess what? Ray Allen scored 0 points. In fact, he's not the only one to score 0 points that game. Chris Bosh scored 0 points. Ray Allen scored 0 points. Udonis Haslem scored 0 points. So those guys, he got 4 points from 4 guys in Game 7. And LeBron had 37 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. Shot 50% from 3 and 52% from the field. And people want to talk about LeBron was saved. I just named, before that shot, LeBron scored 16 when they were down 10. He hit the 3 when they were almost down, when they were down by 6, he hit the 3 to cut the lead to 3. Now, if Ray Allen don't hit that shot, sure, he loses. But if LeBron don't do what he do to bring him from a 10-point deficit, Ray Allen's not even in position to hit that shot. They still had to win in overtime, which LeBron scored or assisted. No, he assisted on 6 points in overtime. So I guess none of that matters. LeBron should do everything. He should score on assists on 22 Miami Heat points in the fourth quarter and overtime. And he should have scored or assisted on 25. So instead of Ray Allen hitting that shot, he should have hit the shot and did everything. And then in Game 7, where Ray Allen scored 0, he should have had 37 and 12 too. So it's like he can't have teammates. He got to do everything in every moment. Even the Kyrie Irving shot, he scored 11 of the Cavs' 18 fourth quarter points. When they were down 4, the score was 87-83. LeBron got fouled by Draymond and hit 3 clutch free throws to make the score 87-86. When they were down by 1, he hit a step back 3 in Iguodala's face to put the Cavs up by 2. 89-87, Klay ties it at 89. Irving airballs, the Warriors went on a fast break, and LeBron got the block, which kept the game tied. Then Kyrie hit that shot. And LeBron scored or assisted on 14 of the Cavs' 18 points. He scored 11 of the Cavs' 18 fourth quarter points. So, and then he led both teams and all players and everything, too. So, and in Game 6, he scored 18 points in the third, 18 straight points in the third quarter. I mean, I'm not trying to say that those were not clutch shots that his teammates hit. What I'm saying is, so LeBron has to do everything. He has to lead both teams and everything. He has to bring them down from a 4-point deficit, give them the lead with a step back 3 in Iggy's face, block the shot, and then hit a shot after that too, and hit the last free throw. So he can't have teammates make big shots to help him out. He has to literally do everything. So instead of 14 of 18 Cavs points, he should have hit that 3 and scored or assisted on 17 to 18 Cavs points, and that one point was a free throw. Instead of everything that transpired. See, and this is why I say Ozzy didn't really know, because I would have been saying all that and they wouldn't have been able to say anything. But let's keep going.
Oh, 3. Sorry, there we go. Especially the one that didn't happen in the NBA too. Got to count that one. The one that's not relevant.
It is a global game, and the United States needed that victory.
There we go.
And what would be remembered if they finished in second place or third place, right? If they got
Notice he said if.
that silver medal, that would be a bigger stain on his career than any of his other losses. So don't count out the Olympics. It only happens once every 4 years.
Okay, there you go. You can have your Olympics talk in which LeBron won. So I'm glad. That
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
All right, let's get factual because you can't dispute facts.
I
Right?
cannot.
All right. So
Do you have the facts written down?
Oh, maybe just little pointers. But here's
Why
the
can't I
thing.
have PEDs? This is crazy. I didn't
Here's
know we
the-
could have notes.
I just wanted to get specific because I know like bronsexual is really just kind of
Yeah, bad memory. Yeah, you remind me.
And so we're gonna go over LeBron's 4-6 records finals. Let's talk about him in the last 24 seconds. The actual stats.
The
of
last
those-
24 seconds
Yes.
of the game?
Oh yeah.
24 seconds is so arbitrary. Go ahead. Tell me about the last 24 seconds.
All right. Final four, 24
Very
seconds.
random number.
Ready?
Yep.
0-7.
In 24 seconds.
And in the finals.
In the finals, 0-7. And she took this completely out of context. Now, I won't blame him for this because this is a lesser known one that you could defend, but okay. The 7 shots he took, okay, one of them was in the finals versus the Spurs. At 22 years old, Jordan wasn't in the finals at 22, right? We know that. That's the first shot he took in the finals for the 0-7 stat in the finals. Jordan wasn't in the finals at age 22. He didn't win a championship. He didn't beat a dynasty. Okay, so why are we judging LeBron at 22 years old for not beating the Spurs and not making a shot when Jordan wasn't even in the finals at that age? Okay, the second shot he took. This is the second shot he took. This is in 2015, where he loses Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. This is, hold on, no. Yeah. Where he loses Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. If I'm not mistaken, okay. So he took one in game 1 in 2015 without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love and missed it. Right? The game went to overtime. They lost in overtime. Assuming everything was the same, it would have taken the series to 7 instead of 6 games, but the Cavs didn't have Kyrie or Love, and LeBron wore down by game 6. And in game 2, the 2015 finals, he took 2 shots, right? And missed them both. But they won that game. And this is without Kyrie and Kevin Love. And this is with his teammates shooting 18 for 55 from the field. Or 32%. So, okay, we got the first shot was he was 22 years old in the NBA finals. Jordan was in the finals at 22. The next 3 shots would account for 4 shots. Were in the 2015 finals when he lost Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, which Jordan never played an entire series without his 2 best teammates. We know what his record is without Scottie Pippen. So he never did that in one. So why are we criticizing LeBron for missing a shot? Or maybe they're trying to imply that 0-7 is because he's not clutch, and if he was more clutch, he would have won. But again, one finals he was 22 years old. The other finals, he took those 3 shots. It was without his 2 best teammates. Jordan never played a series without his 2 best teammates. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were missing. And then, 2 of those 3 shots was in a game that they won with his teammates shooting 18 for 55. Okay. The 5th shot was the 2017 finals, which at the end of the day, LeBron played versus the KD Warriors. Jordan never faced a team like that. Okay. Now you get to the 6th shot. The 6th shot was versus the Heat, the one I just explained, and how LeBron scored all those points when the Heat were down by 10. That was the Ray Allen game, which, by the way, okay, he missed that shot. And then the next game, 37-12, Ray Allen scored 0, okay? And they won that series, right? Okay. The 7th shot was versus the Heat, game 5. When LeBron had like 40 and 13 or something like that. Almost 70% shooting, and they lost. This was game 5, right? And then they lost game 5 and ended up winning game 6 in the series. So 2 of the series he won in this 0-7 stat. One of the series he was 22 years old in the finals, which Jordan was not 22 years old in the NBA finals. The other series, he took 3 of those shots, and he lost Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. Jordan never lost his 2 best teammates in one, and then Jordan never faced a team like the KD Warriors. So the 0-7 criticism isn't an indication that LeBron's not clutch. It's just an indication that Jordan fans lack context and don't know the details surrounding these stats.
Final 10 seconds, 0-5. Final 5 seconds, 0-4. A buzzer beater, which he only had 1, so his games aren't even close. 0-1. A clutch player finishes those plays. You give Michael Jordan the ball, he finishes the play. You give LeBron the ball, he'll give it to someone else.
This is another thing too. He don't really have enough time to defend the statements, and he also don't know everything. But the thing is this: she was allowed to have a paper. He wasn't. He should have had a paper. He could have defended it better. A lot of things maybe he didn't know. The timing issue too. He did pretty good as far as the circumstances are concerned, right? He did the best he could, and I'm not going to knock that. And I think that maybe he should have been able to have a paper too. But, another thing to consider is that LeBron's playing versus zone defense. Jordan wasn't.
When you're a clutch player, you don't do that. Not to mention multiple polls done by The Athletic. No one's ever voted. His peers have never voted for him to be a top 5 clutch player in the NBA.
Yeah, but he led the league in clutch field goals 3 times, I think. But okay, they don't have to vote for him. It speaks for itself.
How are you going to call him a clutch player if his peers don't even think so?
When did those athletic polls start?
2-3 years ago.
How old was LeBron 2-3 years ago?
I think that
was he in his prime?
Comes from everyone.
Was he in his prime?
They put his teammates.
Was he in his prime? I don't believe so.
He just won a championship like 3 years ago.
Oh,
that was the
time's flying. That's like 5 seasons ago now. It's 4.
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Irrelevant. Listen, 24 seconds is a lovely number when you're looking to find the exact number you needed to find no shots. If you expand to what clutch time actually is, the last 5 minutes when you're leading up to wins, obviously those numbers are going to be better. So, shout out finding the perfect number for the stat.
Could you give me a buzzer beater or a clutch shot that he has hit?
Again, the fact that we're saying clutch shots, like we had to have one single.
He has 5 of them. Now I don't know him by heart, but I know he had one. He had 2 versus the Pacers, 1 versus the Magic, 1 versus the Raptors, and then I don't know the other one.
Shot isn't what clutch actually is. I can give you plenty of games in which he came up clutch in an elimination game, in which he had fourth quarter performances and went crazy. Obviously, Game 6 versus Boston is the one everyone talks about, where he came out and simply destroyed them. Obviously, 2016 Game 7 finals, defensively and offensively, 2-way performance. Trying to narrow it down to one shot in the last 10 seconds is just pushing it into a direction that isn't actually, showing what clutch is in basketball.
Even if you want to push it in that direction, he got the most playoff buzzer beaters. He has, he's got 5. Jordan has 3. He's got more than Jordan and Kobe combined. He shoots 58% in the last 10 seconds in the fourth quarter or overtime, which is better than every MVP of the last 25 years. So even if you want to push it in that direction, ain't nothing to talk about. He still leads that.
See, that's the thing with LeBron. We always redefine that line of clutch.
You picked the line.
We had to redefine it for him because he doesn't meet the overall standard of Michael Jordan. So
if you can pick a line, I can pick a line. So we can just go back and forth picking standards.
Do you think fans are cherry picking or haters are cherry picking stats right now?
That's what they got to do. I mean, I respect the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do think
I respect a good hater at heart.
People do forget that a block in the clutch is still a clutch play.
Okay,
and that's fair. That's a fair shake. That dude has Jordan as the GOAT, but he said a block in the clutch is still a clutch play, and that's no doubt. We keep going.
Sorry, I just want to say it's getting really hot in here.
Another outfit change.
It's so hot. You guys gotta put up the AC a little bit, So all these people are talking and all this stuff. I want to let you talk a little bit. What's your definition of clutch?
Clutch is making the right plays, leading. I think that's I think I would ask more specificity on when the brightest moments are, but that's about the same.
I would say in the playoffs, finals. His 4-6 record.
Okay.
So what about the Dallas Mavericks? What do you think about that series?
Terrible. That's the biggest blight on his career. Yeah, and you got that. I think that's an actual terrible mark, and I won't pretend it's not. I just wouldn't pretend it's the end-all be-all. I wouldn't let somebody's career of any sort, any player, be defined by one bad week.
So you would say he wasn't clutch in that series?
God, no. No.
So he's not clutch then?
If you only were alive for 2011, then sure.
Okay, so
I had the privilege of continuing to live after that. So
let's also talk about how we almost lost a rookie Jason Tatum.
How he almost lost?
Yeah, almost lost.
But he didn't.
Game 7 though.
But he won the
game.
To
a rookie Jason Tatum who averaged 14 points a game.
I thought the game was about to win. He won the game.
Yeah, against a rookie Jason Tatum was out of
and this is another thing that people don't know. What he had to do to even beat that team. He had to lead both teams in everything except for steals. He was 4 steals away from leading both teams in everything. And he's the only player to lead both teams in everything in a playoff series of any length in NBA history. And he did it versus a 73-win team. But we keep harping on that.
He did win, but
all that matters is winning. Am I right?
Yeah.
Y'all are dangerously close.
Okay, let's also talk about the Kyrie shot.
Nonsense.
A game that he won?
Let's talk about the Kyrie shot.
The game that he won?
No, Kyrie won that game. Let's talk about Ray Allen. He won that game. So that's
1v12.
So that's 2 rings right there.
Kyrie's the GOAT.
If they didn't make those shots, he would have 2 rings. We wouldn't be here right now if Ray Allen and Kyrie ever didn't make it.
If my aunt had balls, she'll be my uncle. If my aunt had balls, she'll be my uncle. Doesn't matter. Ifs don't matter.
Kyrie can beat the Golden State Warriors by himself. Put him in the Hall of Fame today. You got it.
Oh, he's
the GOAT.
Come on now,
he's the GOAT, apparently.
Okay, let's talk about. So he would have 2 rings without 2 shots. Let's also talk about Kyle Kuzma, how he passed him the ball during the bubble to make that.
Let's talk about Kyle Kuzma's ascendance. I did not expect to hear today. But go ahead. Yeah. Tell me more about it.
But Kyle Kuzma made the last shot. I think it was in the bubble of playoffs.
Good for him. Can you look me in the eye and tell me Kyle Kuzma is the reason they won the 2020 championship?
Kyle Kuzma is the reason why they
You're
won the
smiling
2020
your ass off.
championship.
Look at you grinning.
Yeah, so Michael Jordan's way more clutch. Let's talk about the Jazz. Okay, the timer's up. Never mind. But yeah, Michael Jordan's more clutch.
Right. He was doing well. The Kyle Kuzma threw me for a loop. Everything was going well.
All right, I'm a hater, but I wanted to show you some love. Hopefully, I could change your opinion. So I got you a gift.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Bribery?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Like,
It's
Damn, I
I
hate
how
this.
lame you gotta be to hate somebody this much.
But also check the back. Check the back. It's a very important stat. 4 and 6.
I hate this gift even more.
Yeah. I would define a clutch player as like the most important series than playing good. Somehow, some way, Jordan went 6-0. Surprisingly, like LeBron has had 6 losses in the finals and only 4 wins.
Do you find it to be more impressive to lose in the first round or the second round or the third round to lose in the finals?
Again, I thought we were talking about clutch player. You just said before that we don't
Do you
define
find
clutch
it
player.
more impressive to lose early in the playoffs or later?
I thought we were talking about clutch players, so let's stick to the top.
So you don't have an answer.
Not when it comes to what we were talking about. Do you want to talk about clutch players or something irrelevant?
Would you like me to get to my point?
You could try if it has to do with the prompt.
Would you find it more impressive to lose in the first round? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. Would you find it more impressive to go into a game series against the Pistons in Game 5 and shoot 8 shots and get shut down? Is that clutch?
No.
No, everybody has.
Thing.
I say as I say, everybody has their lowlights. You can pick and choose which ones you want to talk about. If you find it less impressive because LeBron's lowlights came in the finals, whereas Jordan's came in the first or second round, and you want to say you should never lose on the brightest stage, well, I think you should get to the brightest stage. And how about that? You can pick and choose how much you want to decide somebody's lowlights are worse. In reality, everybody has them. You're not defined by them unless you're Joel Embiid. These guys both have highs, lows. I won't pretend that his lows are worse because he happened to get further with less.
I'm not going to go and just start glorifying someone that lost in the finals. I define a clutch player as when it comes down to the final series. Also, not to mention LeBron has to go jump from team to team. He's a glorified Patrick McCaw. Jordan never left any team. Whatever team he went to, he stuck it out and he won multiple championships.
He did win. I mean, he did go to the Wizards, but okay.
6 championships. LeBron goes to a team, strips every asset away, and still doesn't win in the finals. I would hope if he created his own team that he'd be able to make it to the finals.
Yeah, well, not everybody has the privilege of being drafted to a competent organization that drafts a Scottie Pippen, goes and gets a Dennis Rodman, and makes it a legit
You build. People want to play with Jordan.
team. Do you think LeBron stayed for 2 years then left? No, he gave the Cleveland Cavaliers a chance. They were incompetent.
So what happened in Miami?
He won 2 championships in Miami.
Why did he leave Miami?
Because Dwayne Wade's knees fell apart.
Okay, so exactly. He left because he wanted a better team. He's just going to jump every time. He stripped the Lakers of every single asset. And guess what? He's just going to leave again because that's all he does.
I won't pretend it's noble to lose amongst poverty and play next to a bunch of crappy players. I won't pretend that gives him points because he's nice and brave about toughing it out. I don't really care.
All right, so we could just jump from team to team. I'll win every
I'm keeping this. Don't pretend.
No. It's for the hit.
And so that and was the second team to do it in this era doesn't mean he created it. He's not a GM. As most of the people want to say he is. He wasn't the GM of the Miami Heat. I'll tell you.
Super team. I'm going to skip over that. 2020 championship shot.
Compared to those finals teams. So
Definitely trash.
I wouldn't say the worst of
horrible.
all time because there's a lot of years out there. So I wouldn't.
In 2020 is the worst finals team of all time. What do you say about that?
They are not worse than not only any team Jordan played, but they ain't worse than the Utah Jazz. I mean, the Utah Jazz scored 54 points in the finals, man. But what's worse than that? So you got that talking about the Utah Jazz. What's the worst NBA finals? I'm not going to say the Utah Jazz is the worst NBA finals team ever, but that's worse than anything LeBron's played. Now, as far as the championship having an asterisk, plenty of players have gone on and said that it's the toughest championship, but deeper than that. They say it's have an asterisk, right? But if he lost, let's say LeBron lost in 2020, instead of winning his 4th championship and 4th finals MVP, if he lost, this is something to ask. Would they count his loss? Would they count the fact that he lost against him? Would he be 3-7 in the finals, or would the loss not count because it's in the bubble? Now, we all know that the loss would count, bubble or no bubble. So it's a way of discrediting what he rightfully achieved to downplay the accomplishment.
That
I definitely think they were trash compared to most finals teams. So
definitely trash.
I wouldn't say the worst of
horrible.
all time because there's a lot of years out there, so I wouldn't make that claim. But they
So, I mean, hold on, let me skip forward.
Probably to me the least impressive out of every championship that's ever been won. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, and I've seen NBA players come on podcasts and talk about how the bubble was probably the hardest championship.
Okay, they played in the bubble, right? How do you know more than the guys that were actually there? Dwight Howard said that was the hardest championship. He had NBA Finals experience. He played in the finals versus Kobe. Now, granted, he lost, but he said it's the hardest championship. It's the hardest playoff run for him. And Danny Green, he said it's the hardest championship. And he got 3 championships and been to 4 finals. Okay. Let's go with Giannis. He has a championship. He said that's the hardest championship. Bam Adebayo, he been to the finals twice. Now, he don't got a championship, but he been to the finals twice, and he said that's the hardest championship. LeBron said that's, one of the 2 hardest championships. He said 2016 and that. Okay. Lou Williams said that's the hardest championship. Montrezl Harrell said that's the hardest championship. Damian Lillard said that was the toughest championship. And they were there, and a lot of them have playoff and finals experience and prior championships. So, I'm not taking your word or anybody else's word over the guys that were actually there.
Because they all the environment that they were in or whatever. That sounds like some rich people like champagne problem shit. You know what I mean? They were in a Disney hotel and maybe didn't have the best meals or maybe didn't have this, that, or whatever. They were all chilling. They didn't have nothing to worry about outside of.
I'm gonna just go on to the next one.
LeBron having a losing record in the finals does not affect his legacy.
Well, I already told you this once. I'll do it again, right? If those 2 do not hit those 3-point shots, LeBron walks away with 2 rings. He doesn't go to the game.
And that ifs don't count. If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. But even more so than that. This is why I say I wish, maybe he memorized some of this stuff. Because before Ray Allen hit that shot, LeBron scored, they were down 10. LeBron scored 16 in the 4th. Before Ray Allen hit that shot, they were down 6. LeBron hit the shot to put them down 3 instead of 6. And then Ray Allen hit the shot. And they still had a win in overtime. And they still had a win in game 7. And in 4th quarter overtime, he scored 4 assists on 22 Miami Heat points. In game 7, he scored 37, while Ray Allen scored 0. So they still had to win game 7, and Ray Allen had 0. And LeBron had 37. Before Kyrie hit the shot, they were down 4. LeBron had 3 clutch free throws after getting fouled by Draymond. He had a step back 3 and they were out his face to put them up to 89-87. Clay tied it, Irving airballed, LeBron got the block. After the block, game was tied. Kyrie hit the shot, LeBron had the free throw. And LeBron led both teams and everything. So, you get what I'm saying.
Game 7 against the Spurs, and then the Warriors probably will make a play and they end up winning, right? I think that's very clear. LeBron James owes his career and his standing as one of the greatest players of all time to those 2 gentlemen. If they weren't as clutch as they were, and if they weren't ready to take those shots.
Is 16 points in the 4th quarter when you're down 10, is that clutch? Is 22 4th quarter / overtime points, is that clutch? Is 11 of the Cavs 18 points in the 4th, is that clutch? How about 3 points to put you down 1 point instead of 4 points, instead of a 4-point deficit, and a step back 3 to put you up by 2, and a block to prevent the other team from scoring when the game is tied? That's not clutch? 14 of 18 Cavs points ain't clutch? Okay, I guess that's not clutch.
He doesn't finish the same way, and I don't think you'll be wearing that Lakers jersey.
Yeah. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. We can do this with a lot of things. If the Bulls didn't select Scottie Pippen and they select the next pick, who knows when his championship window opens? If the Pistons never age out of the championship window, who knows when his championship starts? We can do this with so many things. Neither here nor there. The shots went in. So many plays led up to that point where LeBron James put them in the position to decide the game. You have to empower your teammates. You have to play a team game and help that the team around you is good enough to match your level. And on that day, they were good. I will not downplay the contributions of Kyrie Irving, downplay the contributions of Ray Allen, because they don't take away from LeBron James. Those games do not come down to one play. Like I said earlier, if Kyrie Irving was good enough to beat the Golden State Warriors by himself and decide the game by himself, make him the GOAT today, because that's the greatest team of all time that he single-handedly took down, apparently.
It wasn't just Kyrie, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
It was
It's a team
also
game.
the NBA commissioner. He helped a bit.
There we go.
But those
Yeah,
Draymond Green being one.
but 41 without Draymond. When Draymond came back, it was another 41. And I guess the commissioner made LeBron lead both teams and everything too.
All right, let's go.
Hey, listen, man. Dre makes some mistakes, but we're gonna forgive him, right?
Okay.
He likes to punch, he likes to kick. Everybody has problems, but we got to keep it real. You have to be authentic, right?
Yeah.
I know you're a super fan, and I'm a hater. I'm not a super hater, but I can hate when it's time. You know that if those two shots don't go in, LeBron James, the discourse that we're having is completely different, and it's not really shoulda, coulda, woulda. We literally watched it, and
Yeah, we watched it.
the next morning on every single debate show, what clip was being shown? We did see the block, but the most important clip of the night is the shot, right? Yeah,
we did see the block.
We did see the block.
You like to slide things in like they're irrelevant. The block is just as iconic.
I didn't call it if it was irrelevant, I wouldn't have mentioned it.
Okay,
but I did. It was important. But
Equally
the block
so.
didn't win the game. The shot wins the game. Chris Bosh chipping the ball out to Ray Allen. That's the play that won the game. So he owes a lot to a lot of people.
That's
right?
the play that tied the game and took them to overtime. That's the play that tied them and took them to overtime. That wasn't winning the game. They still had to win in overtime. They still had to win in game 7. And once again, 37 points, 12 rebounds. Ray Allen scored 0.
When it came down to those two biggest moments, LeBron James relied on the players who were ready to take the shot. And that's it.
Everybody owes lots of
this is the equivalent of saying Steve Kerr and John Paxson saved Jordan's career. Or, because they hit clutch shots in the finals to win the series. Or whatever the case. So it didn't go to game 7. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
To all their teammates. I think it is a quintessential Jordan fan thing to act like that's a downside. When in reality, it's the whole system. It's a team-based game. To pretend otherwise is to not live in reality. And I think any rational fan should realize that nobody does it alone. And to even entertain the argument as if we should pretend that LeBron did it alone is just missing the forest for the trees.
All right, so let's revisit those two super important plays.
With or without
right?
the PEDs.
Yeah, well, I got to quote something,
Okay.
I want you to tell me what you see in common in those two shots on the play call. You ready? So for the Ray Allen 3, rebound Bosh, back to Allen, his 3-pointer, bang. Okay? Second one.
Okay.
Irving and Curry, 1-on-1. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. What do you see in common in those two calls?
Mike Breen?
Yes, but they don't have your GOAT's name in it.
Oh, that's a good
How
one.
does that affect his legacy?
Does Mike Breen
He's
hate LeBron?
not in the two most important moments of 2 of his rings.
I know what else?
So how does it affect his career?
You know what else?
How does it affect his legacy? It means he's a loser.
Whenever he got the block, Mike Breen didn't say blocked by LeBron.
How is a 4-time champion with 4 finals MVP as a loser?
He said blocked by James. He diminished him by not saying his main name.
Mm.
We might have to expose Mike Breen.
You better take that up with Mike Breen.
Hey, Mike Breen's on your side.
I'm not Mike Breen, but here's what I can tell you. LeBron raised a generation of losers. Okay? Who did Tom Brady say he was chasing? It wasn't LeBron, the same guy who was playing in his time. It was Michael Jordan. He's chasing Michael Jordan. 4 and 6. Let's just expand it out a little bit more. Let's put it out a little bit more, okay?
Okay.
8 and 8 in FIBA, Olympics, NBA. I mean, if you want to compare legacies, then you got to compare it to the GOATs, which is 11 and 0 in NCAA, Olympics, FIBA, NBA. That's a winner. But if you want to be like the rest of America and like LeBron's NFL team, the Cowboys, who are also losers, this is the generation that we're raising.
We're gonna get you on First Take today.
4 and 6, 8 and 8. How does that not affect? But we're stat stuffers now. We don't care about winning. It's LeBron's generation. Also,
so did Jordan not care about winning when he got swept twice versus the Celtics?
Thing.
One more.
If it doesn't affect his legacy, then how can someone else be the greatest winner in his time? Steph Curry and the Spurs are the kings of LeBron's generation.
Steph Curry has 4 championships with 1 finals MVP. LeBron has 4 with 4 finals MVPs. So what does that tell you? That tells you that they were dynasties. Not only that, but that tells you that Curry wasn't even the best on his own team. He never outplayed LeBron in any series. And Kevin Durant was the best player on the Warriors. But no mention of Kevin Durant.
What we in the biz like to call that is understanding that it's a team game.
That's borderline buzz for that term. Let's keep going. I'll let you
What we like
slide.
to call that is it's a 5-on-5 game, and then we understand that, and then we know that if LeBron James played with Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, that wouldn't be a conversation we're having. They didn't win because Steph Curry is the king. They won because Steph Curry got to play with the other best player of all time, who got drafted next to the perfect complementary players to build the greatest regular season team of all time. It's
LeBron played with 26 All-Stars. I don't know. That's a pretty good hit.
26. Karen, Darren Williams at age 36, Isaiah Thomas at age 36.
26.
See, she can't even defend what she's saying, and he's pretty good. But there's the thing that he did wrong was probably, I think, at the end, and then when they keep bringing up Rayon and Kyrie Irving and the clutch shots, he didn't have enough. I don't think.
It's a big number.
So you got nothing to say. It does affect his legacy.
Did I say that?
He's 4-6. Does it affect his legacy?
Do I need to repeat the same arguments? Do we need to go over this again?
Yeah, they just go to the team thing. They're like, it's the 5.
Oh, the silly little team thing.
Dude's a loser.
The silly little reality of 5 players on the court. I hate that.
Okay, last topic. LeBron is the GOAT.
Men lie. Women lie. Numbers don't. Michael Jordan
Mm-hmm.
has a better PER than LeBron James. He has a higher offensive and defensive box plus minus.
Okay.
He has a better win share per 48.
Okay.
So Michael Jordan is more efficient, better at offense, better at defense, and contributes to winning more. So how would he be better? Tell me.
Well, I don't know how many of those are true. I didn't write down a bunch of numbers for this.
It's true. Trust me, it's true.
He's not more efficient. True shooting percentage for all their prime years. LeBron's
I'll
better.
give that to you.
Leading teams to higher offensive ratings or on-off numbers. If you want to get in the nerdy numbers game, this is not a game you want to go down.
I did.
LeBron has a higher on-off number of how he impacts offense and defense. His on-off swing is higher than Jordan's. I don't know about their team offensive ratings year by year. I didn't look for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. Are you looking at career offensive box plus minus and defensive?
I'm looking at career everything. I'm
That's
a
your problem. You're looking at career. If you look
Even
at
if
their
you
prime,
look at the career, the offensive and defensive, there was a time where LeBron was number one, and then they end up changing the stats, and all of a sudden Jordan was number one. And the reason they said was because of Russell Westbrook, but I mean they changed it 3 years after Russell Westbrook, I guess, broke the stat, which I mean to me doesn't make sense. They changed it shortly after Daryl Morey said LeBron is the GOAT when you look at the advanced analytics, but we can keep going.
prime years, which is what everyone gauges whenever they're talking about the peak of people's.
Yeah.
LeBron's are typically better. So, if we look at all the relevant years only, LeBron's are better. We go on the stats. LeBron leads in far more advanced stats than Jordan does. Obviously, all the playmaking stats, a lot of defensive impact stats, he leads. Obviously, Jordan is great too. He has his steals and stuff, and that's what contributes to a defensive box plus minus.
Yeah.
But how you really gauge a good defender with modern analytics is looking at their team defensive ratings on and off the court, and LeBron has good ones. Obviously.
Okay, all I heard was blah blah blah. Okay, so let me talk to you like a fifth grader now. He
Wonderful.
has more championships. He's 6-0. LeBron's 4-6, right?
He is.
He has a defensive player of the year. I don't know how many does LeBron have? Just like,
0. Shout out Marcus All.
oh, 0. Okay, yeah. Shout out Marcus Hall. How many defensive
First
all
teams?
defensive? Yeah. How many? Does,
I don't remember. He has. Yeah.
Well,
He has
I
them.
think Jordan has more though.
He probably does.
So he's a better defender, you would say.
Nope.
How is he not a better defender if he has a defensive player of the year? And
Let's talk
Has
about
more
this. Is a
defensive
fun
ratings.
one. Let's talk about the merits of defensive NBA award voting over the years.
okay. Let's bring up the Marcus Hall thing.
let's
Okay,
not.
let's
Let's
bring it
not.
up again.
Fuck Marcus Hall.
Let's talk
Let's-
about it
let's
again. We
not.
get it. Okay,
Please.
second team. Okay, we got it.
In the 1990s, do you know who voted for NBA defensive awards?
No idea. Tell me.
Journalists.
Okay,
Do you know how many journalists had access to watching 82 games a year of all 30 teams?
probably
0.
Wow.
Defensive voting back then was just who had more steals, who had more blocks. Kobe Bryant got like 8 all defensive teams in the latter half of his career when he wasn't defending a fucking thing. For historically, defensive award voting has been terrible until the last 6 years. So good. Jordan was a great defender for his time. If LeBron was back there, he would have had 13 in a row because they would have been like, ooh, big guy block shot.
Yeah. So you're saying like
Shoot.
voting. Oh, sorry.
Wrap it up,
okay.
wrap it up, wrap it
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
One
I'm saying
sentence.
1990s journalists were not watching Utah Jazz games. I'll tell you
Okay,
that.
so all I
Tweet
heard-
length response.
all I
Tweet
heard-
length response.
All I heard is you don't trust voting for the NBA, which okay, that's your opinion. And then let's just end it off with a bang. Michael Jordan is a better scorer. He's better at offense. He's better
No. 41,000 points say otherwise, but okay.
at defense. That's it.
I'm a person of many words.
Okay.
I only have a handful for you. It's about the rings.
Okay, if it's about the rings, Bill Russell's the GOAT. Ends that right now.
Thank
Three of
you.
them.
Thank you.
4 rings, actually.
You know how many Jordan has?
More than that.
Bill Russell got 11 though. I mean, yeah, okay.
6.
Quick maths.
Yeah, exactly. And how many does your goat have?
That many.
Less
Less than 6. Woo!
subtraction. Bada bing, bada boom, baby. I'll leave it on this. How is your goat gonna get clapped and clamped up by Herb Jones, first team all defense? Thank you.
Wow.
All right, I'm gonna speak my truth real quick, and then you can have the table. Here's the thing: I'm gonna quote a famous, a top point guard. Okay, John Stockton sums up how I feel about LeBron. You're not climbing the mountain; you're taking a helicopter to the top, and that is how I feel about LeBron James. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why he's not the GOAT.
Okay.
Okay.
Citing John Stockton is crazy of all people, but go ahead.
I mean, top 5 point guard of all time.
Noted
but
non-truth teller. But neither here nor there.
Anyone who has to tell the media they're the GOAT, not the GOAT.
Ooh.
Then Jordan's not the GOAT because he was arguing with Wilt about who was better between him and Wilt and who was the GOAT. He told OJ Mayo he was the GOAT. He has it written on his shoes and on his statue. He released The Last Dance, which is pretty much trying to convince other people that he's the GOAT. But I guess it only applies to LeBron.
You find a clip of Michael Jordan saying he's the GOAT to the media, I'm all ears, but you won't find it
I'll find it. It's called The Last Dance.
because it's not out there.
Nike did it for him.
Also, another one, a dude that does this, crowning himself in a camera multiple times.
Aura.
That's the opposite of aura. That's a cringe. That's an ick. Ask any woman out there. But then,
Would you want to date LeBron?
LeBron's most famous thing he ever done actually doesn't have to do with basketball. It's just a quote saying, "Cleveland, this is for you." That's what people think of when they think of LeBron.
Okay.
2 of LeBron's
These are horrible points, by the way.
4 rings happened in short NBA seasons, a lockout and a bubble.
Yeah, as though LeBron controls what. I mean, okay, if LeBron had lost those finals in those shortened seasons, would he be 2-8, or would he be 4-6? Because would it be 2-8, or would he be 2-6? Because those 2 losses don't count because they were shortened seasons, and those finals don't count at all. You guess what I'm saying?
So you only have really 2 legit ones, right? So let me tell you now. Why Michael Jordan is the real GOAT, okay? Michael Jordan eliminated 20 Hall of Famers. Meanwhile, you have LeBron playing with 26.
Okay. Jordan eliminated 20 Hall of Famers. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, I gotta find this. I don't know this off the top of my head. Let me see where that is. Okay. I know LeBron eliminated more than that though. So just give me a minute. If I could find it, man. Okay. Okay. If he eliminated 20 Hall of Famers, LeBron eliminated 24.
MJ faced 7 of the top 10 all-time scorers, 9 of the top 10 shot blockers, 7 of the top 10 all-time assist leader, 8 of the top 10 all-time steals leader, right? So for anyone who's like the 90s wasn't good basketball.
Okay. Now notice she said, all these numbers of the top 10 of all time. But then when LeBron leads, to show that Jordan faced good competition, she's naming guys that are at the top of these categories. But when LeBron actually leads in these categories, now it don't mean nothing. It's longevity. Catch what I'm saying? It's a double standard.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
he also prevented many NBA legends from winning a ring, opposed to LeBron, who Steph Curry and the Spurs won during his time. And then Michael Jordan is the only player to win a regular season MVP, NBA Finals MVP, first team All NBA, first team All Defense, scoring title, lead the playoffs in scoring. No one else has done that. Michael Jordan's done it 4 times.
And guess what? LeBron's the only player to lead both teams and everything in a playoff series. Who else has done that? He did it versus a 73-win team with the only unanimous MVP in NBA history. Okay, I mean, there are things that LeBron's done that nobody else has done. LeBron's the only player to have 40,000 points. Who else got 40,000 points? He's the only player top 10 in both points and assists in the regular season and playoffs. In fact, he's the only player top 10 in points, assists, steals, 3-pointers made, and wins in the regular season and playoffs.
4 times. And we could go through the other stats, the ones, everyone knows, which is 6-0.
This is a great Wikipedia article, by the way.
Here's the last thing I'm going to say. In 13 full seasons, which Michael Jordan played, he has 6 rings, 6 finals MVPs, 5 league MVPs, 10 scoring titles, 1 defensive player of the year, 9 all defensive first teams. And if you put KD and LeBron's careers combined, this is what you get in 38 seasons.
Okay. This is cool. You know what I'm saying? It's cool if you want to make the argument about what Jordan did in a lesser era versus lesser players in the 90s. All this shows is that LeBron and Kevin Durant are playing in a way tougher era as far as competition is concerned. That's what that shows. It doesn't show anything else.
6 rings, 6 finals MVPs, 5 league MVPs, 5 scoring titles, 0 defensive players of the year.
You don't need scoring titles when you got 41,000 points. See, notice she ain't combining the actual stats that they got, like the amount of points, rebounds, and assists they got. Why? Because there's door from them. She ain't say all NBA teams either. She didn't say that. How about, well, it would have the same amount of MVPs, but as I said before, it just shows that they play in a tougher era, tougher competition.
5 all defensive first teams and 7 teams played for.
That was a wonderfully well-researched essay. Which part do you want to respond to? Because that was 1,000 things.
Numbers don't lie. I mean, I'm just going based off stats, and that's all you really need for this argument.
So the cumulative stat thing is irrelevant because, of course, he went against people that are high on the list because their careers are over. Many of the people that LeBron has gone against are still going. These people are going to be up there eventually, but their careers are still going on. So that irrelevant. Other people won during LeBron's career. Great. Do you think if Jordan didn't retire, he'd win 8 straight?
I think he got bored, so he retired.
Do you think we would have won 8 straight?
Yeah.
Great. I don't think anybody's winning 8 straight championships. So congrats, he was able to go take a break. We pretend he didn't play in 1995 for some reason. I get Jordan's watch. You can do this game forever. It's all contextual. If you want to spout, the accolades and stats written down without any context, you can do that. But if you want to apply a little bit of logic to it, we can understand that the best team wins an NBA championship. Jordan was on the best team because he was part of it. That's true. But also, he was in the right team environment that LeBron was never gifted with early in his career. He never got to be with a good GM that could do his job, so he had to go out and do that. If he was on a team that drafted another Hall of Famer who was 3rd in MVP without Jordan, then I think LeBron would have had a pretty good chance of winning at home too. But he was never gifted that opportunity because he was drafted to an incompetent organization. So I would not pretend it's embarrassing to change teams when that's what the league requires of you to win. Because as you say, he should prioritize winning like the real winner from the 90s did.
Who is that number that LeBron wears?
Who is it? Oh, his number?
How are you going to call that man the GOAT who looks up to the real one?
Listen, anybody smart respects their elders and understands where they came from. To think that you can't respect who came before you doesn't mean you can't pass them up.
All I'm saying is,
He
if you
cooked.
watch Michael Jordan, LeBron James, you come out of there saying Michael Jordan's the GOAT.
You got to play a lot of defense, right? I want you to play some offense. Can you give me the argument of why LeBron James is a GOAT? Because I didn't hear it in the other responses.
Okay. I think first of all, I think he's the best player of all time. You look at peak longevity too. I know the longevity argument is the easy one. It matters. It's not the end all be all to me. I do think peak matters just as much, if not more. So we'll say that up front. He's this good, this late. That adds something to it.
Mhm.
But what really matters is how good you are at the best version of yourself. And at the best version of himself, he is the best mix in NBA history of scoring, passing, defense, making people around you better while being the guy that can lead your team to the highest level. He is not Magic Johnson as a passer, because Magic Johnson's the best passer of all time, but he's close. He's in that realm, and very close, if not even, with LeBron, Jordan as a scorer. Whatever metrics you want to decide, they are clearly probably the two greatest scorers of all time, with Shaq, Kareem, whoever else. Combining those two things is something very few players have done in NBA history. Only other players who are arguably the best passer and best scorer in the NBA at the same time is maybe Larry Bird, maybe Nikola Jokic now, and like regular season James Harden. But we know Nikola Jokic isn't that good of a defender. LeBron was elite. James Harden couldn't translate into the playoffs. And Larry Bird, if you want to put him in the GOAT argument, go ahead.
Larry Bird wasn't a good defender either. Definitely not on the level of LeBron, but he broke that down pretty good.
And talk about the full package of a player. LeBron's the only one that checks all those boxes. Regular season, playoffs, passing, scoring, defense, rebounding, all of it. There's really no flaw. You can nitpick on certain outcomes of games that are going to diminish a legacy. Great. Nobody's legacy is decided by their worst moments or their best. It's cumulative, what you did over your whole career, 3, 4, 5-year peak, whichever you want to recognize. He is the full well-rounded package. And while obviously he doesn't have 6 rings, he has 4. You can go back and forth on if you think 6 or 4. Obviously 6 is more. If you think that's the end all be all, fine. I like to think contextually, and I realize that there's a lot more factors other than these two guys and what they did that contribute to those ring counts for the teams they played for. So individual accolades, obviously LeBron is just as high as Jordan, if not more, because of longevity. So you weigh skill, individual accolade, team accolade. LeBron has 2, Jordan has 1. Nitpicking, I'm going to go with the guy who's simply the better player all around, because I think the accolades are close enough that they're in the same realm. And in some ways, I value individual accolades more.
Okay. I agree with some of the things you said. We get the basis of your argument, but what I don't agree with is the player you decide is the GOAT based on those things.
Okay.
So you said we're looking at players at their peak.
Mhm.
At Michael Jordan's peak, he was Defensive Player of the Year. He was MVP of the regular season. He was Finals MVP, and he three-peated.
Yeah.
That means that at the peak of his power, there was no player in the NBA who could touch him offensively, defensively, or what he was able to bring his team to. At the peak of LeBron James' powers, whether you want to start with the Miami Heat and then go into the Cleveland years in 2016, he was never able to three-peat.
Yeah.
Right? He was never able to be the best offensive and defensive
And first of all, that is he's never able to three-peat because he's playing better competition, but we're gonna keep going on that.
player in the NBA. He has never done that. So
Okay. That's a lie. He was Defensive Player of the Year in 2013. I can explain how he was robbed and all that. And then if you say offense, we're not just talking about scoring, we're also talking about passing the ball, playmaking, assists. So he was a 27-point per game scorer with 7 assists behind it, and he was on the Heat when he did that. And he was the best offensive player because he was among the best scorers, but then he was still like one of the best passers. And he was doing it at a high level that translated to team success. And he also won while doing it. And then on the defensive end, he was definitely Defensive Player of the Year. And he was guarding Tim Duncan. And I'm going to just explain that. But
if we're going by your definition of what the greatest player is, your definition more fits Michael Jordan than it does LeBron James. When you talk about the all-around game and you talk about, LeBron might be is a better passer than Michael Jordan. He is a better passer than Michael Jordan because he's more willing. But when Michael Jordan needed to make the right play and the right pass, what did he do in the NBA Finals? He passed it to the guys to make the big shot.
It's not just him being more willing. It's also the fact that he's top 26 in assists per game. He's the only non-guard in the top 26. He's the only forward in the top 48. He averages the most assists for a forward. He's led the league in assists. He's got like 5,000 more assists than Jordan. He's first in points and fourth in assists. He passed Magic in assists. So, those would be the reasons even if Jordan was, say, more willing, he would never be in the same stratosphere as LeBron as a passer because he's just not.
That's John Paxson and Steve Kerr. So when it came down to being the more skilled player, Jordan possessed all those skills. And Jordan actually is probably a little bit less athletic than LeBron is.
He did not possess those skills. He's like, LeBron, they talk about the stretch where Jordan averaged a triple-double for a month or something, or not for a month, but for a few games or something like that. First of all, they lost most of those games. Second, Jordan was going to the scorer's table asking what he needed to get a triple-double. Third, LeBron averaged a triple-double for a month and averaged a triple-double in the finals. Fourth, when we talk about the statistical rankings and where LeBron ranks in assists, he's the only player top 10 in both points and assists. And it wouldn't have mattered if Jordan played 20 years or he was a more willing passer. He would have never passed Magic in assists. Now, he'd have a lot more assists, but he never would have passed Magic. Never would have been top 4 because he's not that caliber of a passer.
But he was still able to match that peak over the years. He was untouchable. I don't think there's ever a point in LeBron James' career at his peak where you could say he's untouchable, because he was, in a lot of the years he won NBA Finals, he wasn't even favored. He was the underdog. So that means Vegas agrees that he is not the most feared or the best player, and he really wasn't able to elevate his team consistently.
LeBron was the best player every year in damn near every finals. It's just that he was going up against the KD Warriors, or the Warriors without his 2 best teammates, or going up against the Spurs dynasty, which has the best or second best winning percentage with the Warriors and the records to back that up. And then it's also because, he was 22 years old in the finals. I mean, a lot of this stuff has context.
Year over year, which is one of the reasons why we see that he jumped ship.
Okay, so the only difference between him not having that DPOY Finals MVP thing is he happened to be 2 votes behind Marc Gasol. If your metric of somebody being eliminated from this convo is because 2 people decided to vote Marc Gasol, then I guess you got it. I guess that's the blemish on his career. He never won DPOI. Sorry, he was second. Still first team all defense. Still the best player at his position defensively in the entire NBA. Somebody just decided they want to go for a center more because center is more impactful, which they should have did in the 90s too, but people were less smart back then, had less years of discourse to realize that, centers impact defense more. People didn't know at the time, but over time, people understood more about the game, and now that's why you see bigs win.
And that's not the only reason why he deserved the Defensive Player of the Year over Gasol. Gasol wasn't even more impactful on defense than LeBron. The reason why Gasol finished second team and still got Defensive Player of the Year is because back then, media voted for all defensive teams, and coaches voted for Defensive Player of the Year. Coaches voted for Defensive Player of the Year. I said that wrong. Coaches voted for all defensive teams, and media voted for Defensive Player of the Year. That's why there was a discrepancy. The coaches understood that LeBron was more, more important. He was the more productive defender. He was more important for his team. He had to guard the perimeter and the post. Marc Gasol only had to guard the post. And then, when you look at, Gasol's defensive teammates, Tony Allen, he was probably the best perimeter defender at that time. He was 5th in defensive box plus minus. He had the same defensive rating as Gasol and finished with more votes for first team on defense than LeBron James, and had more votes for Gasol for all defensive teams. Mike Conley was 3rd in steals, 10th in defensive box plus minus, and also finished with more votes than Gasol for all defensive teams. So Gasol, by the coaches who actually understand the game more than the media, was voted as the 3rd best defender on his team and 3rd best at his position. He was gifted all defensive second team because Joakim Noah and Tyson Chandler were tied for votes. And truthfully, he finished 4th best at his position because Larry Sanders finished with more votes than Gasol. He had 16 votes, Gasol had 12. He was gifted that second team because Noah and Chandler had a 2-way tie. They had the same amount of votes. If they were placed on the first and second team, he wouldn't have even made the team. Well, anyways, the 2-way tie, he shouldn't have made the all defensive second team. Larry Sanders should have made it over him. But no player that ever won Defensive Player of the Year has ever finished 3rd as the best defender, as the 3rd best defender on his team, and the 3rd best at his position. That's why LeBron deserved the Defensive Player of the Year over Gasol.
If Jordan played today, he wouldn't be racking up DPOYs. I'm sorry. That's just clear reality. Outside of that, you mentioned that he wasn't favored to win. Like it's a blemish against LeBron. Like Vegas saw LeBron and was like, I don't think you got it. He happened to go against the single most successful regular season team of all time. If any other team went against that team, they probably wouldn't be favored either. So I'm not going to pretend that it's a negative that he won as underdog. If anything, I think that's a positive because he was able to win when his team was simply inferior, as the best players should do. And that's the time.
He also wasn't favored against Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, who were both under the age of 25, right? Because they felt that the Thunder team was better. So although he did prevail, he wasn't favored, which means he wasn't really the best player offensively and defensively, and they didn't think that he was able
No. That is a team thing. That has nothing to do with whether LeBron is the best player. Because then he proved, number one, he proved he was the best player. Even in some of those losses, he proved he was the best player, right? In the majority of them. But that is a team thing. That has nothing to do with him being the best player. He was the best player in 2018. Look at the team he had around him. He was the best player in 2017. Look at the team he was facing. In 2016, he wasn't favored versus the 73-win team because that's a 73-win team. In 2015, he wasn't favored. I don't really know why. But Kyrie ended up getting injured, and they end up losing. He wasn't favored versus the Spurs in 2014. In 2013, he was favored. In 2012, he wasn't. In 2011, he was favored.
His team to that height.
Or because
right?
they recognized that it was a team that came off a finals loss and was still gelling together, because it's contrary to popular belief, you sign stars, you don't immediately become a great team. Plenty of super teams have failed. They had to prove it, and they did.
And another thing, when you talk about offensive and defensive players, it's not just about the vote. When you look back at these careers, let's look at 1998. That's a play where Jordan makes the steal, and then he goes down and makes a shot. When we talked about LeBron moment, he made the defensive play, but on the offensive end, he came up short.
All right,
so
that's it.
He only had 40 points that game. Oh no.
That's it. That does it for the debate portion. Clap it up. Clap it up.
Well, I will say that, as Guy did, he did pretty well. I actually had to rewatch this, and I realized he did a lot better than what I thought when I watched it the first time around. But there were some inconsistency there. I think if he were able to defend the Ray Allen and the Kyrie Irving shot and the clutch shot thing, he would have had a lot better of an argument. And then what did they say? If he defended that better, with the statistics of what LeBron did before those guys hit that shot, it might have just been, I think he would have convinced some of those people. And then, the 6 finals losses, even breaking the 6 finals losses down, it's not that hard, man. Like how LeBron was 22 in the finals, how he lost his 2 best teammates, how he, played those 2 dynasties, the Spurs and the Warriors, and Jordan never faced a team like that. I think, that's, and if you look at the numbers, he showed up, but he still lost because he lost to the better team. Pretty easy to defend, but nonetheless, I think he did a pretty good job. I just think that, as far as the Ray Allen and Kyrie Irving shot, he didn't have enough evidence or data to back that up. So, when they talk about the last second clutch shots in the playoffs and all that, he wasn't able to back that up either. And, he did a damn good job, I must say. But, I think he just needed to tweak that one little part. And he also did mention like how they always say it's about winning more rings and things like that, but they don't have Bill Russell as their goal. So those are the only 2 things I would have added. And then the 0-7 stat. But outside of that, he did a good job. But, it's pretty easy to debunk LeBron haters' narratives. They just make stuff up and then expect it to stick. Outside of that, I think I got one more video I'm going to do. And then that's going to probably be pretty much it for my last uploads. I had, some time to do this, so I'm doing it, and I probably won't be uploading on my channel again until like March or something like that. But yeah, so I got one more video I'm gonna upload today, and then that'll be it for a long time.